Hey, what's up, Boxers? This is Zach with Buildbox. In this video, we're going to go over 5 cool level design tricks that you can use to help improve your game. Now, normally our rule of thumb with making Buildbox games is you want to have at least 100 scenes in your game to help with variety and so that your game doesn't get too repetitious. So these are 5 ways that you can help spice up your level design. And if you think this video is useful and you want to see more videos like this, then please like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Like and subscribe.
So first on the list is adding a wake up component. So I'm going to show you a few examples of this real quick. So the first example is the line Zen, and this is a great example for wake up components because a lot of this level design is based off of creatively using the wake up component. You can see here that some objects do not wake up until they are a certain amount of pixels away. Now this can create surprise and wonder and can add some really cool effects to the game. Another example is the game Blue Edge. This is another game made with Buildbox and published through Ketchup, and it's a great example of what you can do with wake-up components. One of the most creative ways that it's being used is to make it look like the spikes are growing along the walls. Some of the components don't wake up until the very last second, which means you have to be quick to change your path so you can avoid obstacles. Another cool thing that you can do with wake-up components is you can have words already made up, and then when the character gets close to the words, they go bursting apart, and I've seen that in Blue Edge. Another game that does this pretty well is the game called Almost Impossible, which is another game built with Buildbox, and it's hilarious because there's this one section of the game where it spells the word hello, but then as you get a little bit closer, some of the letters drop off, and it just says hell, and ... ellipses, and you're like going into the game because that game is so hard. It's really fun, but it's a challenge. And adding a wake-up component with Buildbox is super easy. You just select the object you want, you go down here to add component, and you select wake up. Then you decide whether or not you want the wake up to be distance based or collision based. If you do distance based, you just put the number of pixels you want in the wake up distance, and that will decide how far away the object will wake up from the character. Alright, so the second cool level design trick that you can use to enhance your game is messing around and creatively using the time warp gameplay effect. One game that does this well is my buddy Darius's game Monument Rush 2. Right when the character hits the barrier, the time warp is triggered and you get to see a slow motion explosion which adds a really cool effect to the game. Another great game built with Buildbox that does this well is the game called Circulate. Now this game is actually an Apple featured game and it did really well. And you can see here that the time warp is a really integral part of the gameplay. The time warp is used on every level and it creates a sense of urgency. It really has the player holding their breath up until the very last second. And adding the time warp effect is really easy with Buildbox. You just go over here to actions, you select your action, and then you change the action type to gameplay. And then you just scroll down and you go over here to time warp and you make it so that the time warp is either sped up or slowed down. And you can change the duration for how many seconds this will apply. Okay, so the next cool level design trick is using portals and duplication in your game. Now I already showed you an example of this in Blue Edge, but I really like the creative use in this one. The nice thing about this is by creating a duplicate, you also create an extra life, so you have an extra chance to try to make it through these tough scenes or through the game. And creating portals with Buildbox is also really easy. You just go over here to the logic menu and you pull out a portal and drop it into your scene. You can drag in a second portal so that it's an exit out of the portal, and if you want to create a duplicate, then you just drag in a third portal, and then that way, when the character goes into the portal, they'll come out in 2 areas instead of 1, creating a duplicate. Okay, so the fourth cool level design trick that you can use to spice up your level design is using paths. A really great example of a game that makes good use out of paths is the game Wall Switch, created by the founder and CEO of Buildbox, Trey Smith. And paths are great for taking a character and moving them through what seems like impossible areas to get through. So it creates this sense of wonder and surprise, and it adds a really cool effect. In some areas, you're able to join paths, so one path leads into another, which leads into another, which is also a really cool effect. And if you want to add a path to your game, it can also be found under the logic menu bar. You just grab a path, you drag it into your scene, and then you press this little plus button to add joint after joint. So you can take a character or a player and go through zigzags or different shapes, and it's so easy to use. Alright, so the fifth and final cool level design trick that you can use to enhance your game is using lights. A great example of this is the game Hell Run, and you can see here on the main menu it's got this really cool lantern effect that's swinging left to right. And this is actually an Apple featured game, and it has a really unique gameplay and it has a really cool aesthetic. And another good example of the creative use of lights is the game Glitch. You can see that different colored lights are thrown intermittently in the spikes along the wall. And it may be subtle, but it's the little things that really add to your game. And the other cool thing about Glitch is we have this awesome make your own game video series where Heath Close walks you through all of the steps of building out the game Glitch, and you really end up with a really awesome final product. So I would definitely check that out. And adding lights to your game with Buildbox is super easy. You just go over here to the effects menu and you just drag out your light into your scene. Then you can go over here to color and you can use the color wheel to choose out different colored lights to add to your game. Alright, that's it for this video. If you thought this video was useful and you want to see more videos like this, then please like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Like and subscribe.